Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the second in this year's series of Conversations on Glass by Apice, which are taking place as part of the Italian Glass Weeks, an international festival dedicated to glass in all its forms, artistic glass, industrial glass, and beyond. The first week of our festival took place in Milan from the 10th to the 18th of September, and we're currently in full swing here in Venice until the 25th of September. The festival is organised by the team behind the Vision Milan Glass Week and the Venice Glass Week, the two most important festivals dedicated to glass in Italy, which this year have united to form one major festival dedicated to glass, organised especially for the 2022 United Nations International Year of Glass. My name's Camilla Purden, and I work as the coordinator of the Venice Week of the festival. And this year, as part of the festival, we're organising a series of daily online panel discussions, Conversations on Glass by Apice. Apice is a leading transportation company specialising in moving and handling works of art with special expertise in the transportation of glass works. Our conversations are designed to cover a range of topics relating to the field of glass, involving speakers from Italy and beyond, with the aim of providing a platform for reflections and discussions about the world of glass. And today's conversation is especially pertinent. It's titled 2022 United Nations International Year of Glass, Welcome to the Glass Age. And just before I pass over to our moderator and speakers who will introduce themselves, I'd just like to say that we are streaming live on YouTube. So if anybody who's watching would like to ask a question for any of our speakers, you'd be very welcome to do so. If you just write it in the chat function of YouTube, and we will, our moderator will relay it to the speakers at the end of the conversation. I'd also just like to hand over to a representative of our sponsor Apice before we kick off the conversation, Gloria Basso, who is joining us today from Apice.
Thank you, Camilla. Thank you for welcoming us back to the conversation about glass experience also this year. As you said, and as stated in the headline of today's conversation, 2022 will be the International Year of Glass, which is actually for us a way to underline the technological, scientific, economic, and historical, and most of all, artistic role of glass in our society. Of course, the success in technical studies is mainly due to the fact that glass is one of the most reusable, recyclable, and sustainable material. And even though this is not our case of study, also from this point of view, glass is an extremely virtuous material. Reason why we are here today to celebrate the past, the present, and the future of it. Of course, glass has been an essential part of human life for more than 3,000 years, starting with beads, trading objects since the Bronze Era, passing through the containers of ointments and perfumes produced during the 15th century before Christ, to the Venetian glass, becoming popular in around the 13th century, and so on to the lenses for telescopes and so on till the modern era. So 2022 will be therefore for all of us dealing with glass in the most beautiful shape, form, a major opportunity to make the public appreciate the properties and the potential of this transforming material. So thanks to all of you again for having involved the Apice on the International Glass Year of the Glass Age in one more amazing Glass Week in Venice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gloria. And now I'd like to pass over to our moderator, Professor Vanessa Cutler, who will introduce herself briefly, and then I believe she will ask each of our speakers to introduce themselves before commencing the conversation in earnest. So thank you so much to all of our speakers, and Vanessa, over to you.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody to this discussion. And my name's Vanessa Cutler. I'm an educator, I'm a glass artist, and I'm extremely interested in glass in all forms. My background is very much about technology and digital application, and how informed play can work, develop ideas in glass. However, today I would like to introduce our other speakers, and I would like to ask initially Alicia Duran to introduce herself, and then we'll go through the other speakers.
Okay, good morning, and thank you a lot for this initiative that I have come back from Venice on last Monday, and I please ensure really that the Italian Glass Week is simply fantastic, really, both in Milano and in Venice. Well, I am Alicia Duran. I am a research professor in CSIC, that is the Spanish Research Council, in the Institute of Ceramic and Glass, and I am the chair of, the privilege really to be the chair of the United Nations International Year of Glass.
Teresa?
So good morning. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to this conversation. I'm joining Alicia in congratulating the colleagues that organized the Italian Glass Weeks. I came back yesterday night from Venice. I stayed one day more and joining an interesting conference on the study days on Venetian glass, and can see that you can really feel how the interest in glass is growing even in Italy in these days. But to be brief, I have a background in archaeology, but now I work at the regional government of Lombardy, working with museum and with the accreditation schemes of museum. But my field of investigation is glass, is archaeological glass, mainly from the Iberian Peninsula, because I was living in Portugal during many years. And I serve as the chair of Icon Glass, is the international committee of the International Council of Museums that leads with museums and glass collection. And I'm also chairing what we call the MAA and H group inside the International Year of Glass, is the working group that coordinated the initiative connected to museums, art, and archaeology and history of glass. Thank you.
Thank you. Dino and Fabrizio?
Well, I start first. I'm Dino Zandoleaneca. I'm the president of Vitrum and GIVAV. GIVAV is the Association of Machine Manufacturers and Accessories to process glass. We have been always sponsoring a community of glass associations throughout the world. We met several times in Venice, in Milano, and then in Venice. And we were instrumenting to connect people. For example, Teresa, if I'm not mistaken, you got the connection with Alicia through our community. And so I think I'm very proud of this connection that we provided. We are an industrial association, but we have always a look outside of our precinct. We look at scientific, cultural, and historical aspects, because I think if we need to know where to go, we need to know where we come from, and we need to know our history. So please, Fabrizio.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Vanessa Cutler, and I'm the director of GIVAV and the CEO of Vitrum. So we, as our president say, we organize from almost 40 years the international exhibition dedicated to glass technology in Italy. And from last year, we start organizing the Division Milan Glass Week, that is a week dedicated to industrial and design glass, mainly to this. And with the International Year of Glass, we start organizing together with the Venice Glass Week, the Italian Glass Weeks that is holding this conversation. Personally, I spent almost 25 years in trade association, mainly dealing with machines. So this is my personal experience that what I've been done for the last 25 years. Thank you.
And John?
Hello, everyone. And again, thank you very much for your organisation of this event. It's interesting. I've been involved in GLAS for 50 years now, and actually still am teaching at the University of Sheffield. Not a lot, but I also go around the world on behalf of ICG, and we organise a number of schools for new research workers in the field. So teaching has been my key theme over my working life, but I've also done quite a lot of research into a wide range of things. Now, at the moment, I'm also curator of a small glass collection in Sheffield, created by Professor Turner during his working life, and representing the early part of the 20th century particularly, but we're always on the lookout for new pieces to add to the collection.
Thank you. So welcome you all to this discussion, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about the International Year of Glass and how it's conceived and what was needed to get this year happening, and what the organisers feel having this celebration of glass will do for the future. I think this will be an intriguing discussion, and especially at a time when outside factors are maybe having an impact on what is happening currently. Not across the medium, across science, arts, museums, and everything else. So, Alicia, from reading the information I've been having, taking me back to the 14th of May 2021, when the United Nations said, this is happening, and tell me how you managed to, and I think along with Teresa and John, how this came about and what did you need to do to initiate this happening?
I think that we have to go a little further, really, to 2014, in which in Corning, in US, it was born the idea that we are entering in the age of glass. Why really? Well, looking similar to the age of bronze or the age of iron, really the justification for this was the extended and so wide applications really of glass from biology to optical fibers and energy, but and further than the usual glass that we are in glass containers or in our glazings. And this idea began to grow, and it arrived to the ICG, the International Year, or to the International Commission on Glass in Yokohama in 2018, where it was presented the idea to look for if United Nations could nominate 2022 as the International Year of Glass. I was taking the president of the ICG, and we all enthusiastically accepted this idea. And when I came back to Madrid, I contacted with the permanent mission of Spain in United Nations in New York, and the ambassador accepted really immediately. He came to Madrid. We took the authorization and the support of the Ministry of Science and Technology, and that nominated CSIC, the Spanish Research Council, as the important organization supporting this. From there, we began to. It was the beginning of 2019. We began to work in the documents really that we had to present to United Nations, justifying the role of glass in the 17 goals of sustainability of the Agenda 2030 of United Nations. We practically finished all the documents at the end of 2019, and it was foreseen really to arrive to the approval of the resolution Well, in the first part of 2020, but it was the COVID arrived and everything was delayed. And there were a lot of problems, really, but we didn't give up. And we continue really working with United Nations and taking a lot of endorsements. And we have in this moment more than 2,300 institutions really supporting the IJO from 94 countries in the 5 continents.
So could I ask Teresa or John, what institutions became involved? So we have so many, over 2,000 institutions involved. Were you surprised by the variation of the institutions who wanted to participate?
I think if you look at the statistical distribution, I mean, first of all, there's a very wide range of countries, which is a positive. But secondly, the actual distribution of subjects was quite surprising too. But there are a lot of museums, a lot of artists, there are a lot of educational establishments. In terms of industry, I would say the involvement is there in the background, but not quite there at the front as much. You know, those 2,300, that there are not so many firms, but yes, what do you think, Alicia? Is that a fair statement?
If I can add, this is I'm happy to her because from the very beginning it was clear that museums and cultural institutions would have played a significant role in the promotion of the international glass, and I really need to thank Dino Zantonella and Vitrum for creating this coordination of glass association, that it groups mainly association of producer of glass machines, but also included since from the beginning Icon Glass and the International Association for the History of Glass. And I think that it was really an asset for the promotion of the international glass, because we were there when Alicia told us of this project, and we were invited to support. And I think that we and the other association of the History of Glass, we work hard to engage our network. And that's why I can say we have so many cultural institutions and also individuals, persons that are artists involved with projects all around the world, promoting at the same time, as John told us, arts, culture, and social inclusion by the way of glass art.
So talking about that and the networks, Dino and Fabrizio, have you been surprised by the network and how it's grown and how it's managed to introduce and kind of cross internet between science, technology, the arts, and these institutions?
Well, I'm very much surprised, of course, because at the beginning it was just a small initiative created by us, and it grew with the time. We had been also supported by the Italian government, and that was a great vision from our government as well. And it happens also in a very critical moment. I think COVID highlighted the importance of glass, and then now the crisis that we are facing is also bringing to the public audience the problems that we are facing. Now, if we wouldn't have started this venture in advance, probably this, what is happening, it would have probably destroyed the industry without having public knowledge. Now, because the media were always on us, I think it created momentum and everybody's talking about this. So even in a bad aspect of the crisis that we are facing, I think we have a good moment of a vision on on the media and on the general public. And so I think by bringing this to the general public, we will support the museums, the institutions, and everybody working in this industry. So I'm very happy. It's like a virtuous cycle. So it started, and I hope it goes further.
Yeah. So in some ways, you created a legacy. So in some way, would you say this is creating a legacy that can move forward? And from that, with that legacy, I would like to kind of touch on maybe where you see this International Year of Glass going in the future in terms of when we look back at it and what it has produced, what it produces.
Absolutely, I'm very much pleased with what happened, and I guess Fabrizio can highlight what it was the massive amount of people that participated in the Italian Glass Weeks. From my side, I would say this created an opportunity for us to work together, different aspects of the industry and institutions, educational. We all work together, and this is creating, no matter how much money you have, I think even with a less amount of funds, you can create something incredible. So it teaches us that we need desperately to work together to get a vision for the future, to get the passion. Even in the industrial side, if we don't have passion, probably we won't be able to go through this treacherous time.
I think what I understand from glass is I think every glass person I know is extremely passionate. But John, reflecting on the International Year of Glass, what have you found interesting of the participants? You mentioned the reflections, and recently you mentioned the diversity.
Yes, I think the first thing I would say is that COVID actually has helped. It was at the beginning, it was a big negative. It made problems, but one of the reasons why things have been so successful, I think, is because everyone was desperately keen to get together and talk to each other again. So it's the events I've been to have been so positive, and that's one reason. But the second thing is that I've been very surprised and very pleased by the fact that so many people have done things like focus on the needs of the disadvantaged. There are some amazing stories around the world of things like glass recycling being linked to the purchase of computers for disadvantaged children. So that's one example. The other thing that's come out is the care and the that people have for their heritage. I heard a wonderful lecture on Ukrainian stained glass and what the glass is doing to support the people of Ukraine. I've heard some, an amazing range of stories like that. After the big explosion in Beirut, a lot of their ancient glass was destroyed, and that's created a whole interest in how do we actually restore pieces that are shattered. So many things have come out of this that to me were completely unexpected.
And Teresa, what have you encountered from the heritage point of view, leading on from Beirut and Ukraine and the stained glass and the history? What have you seen that has kind of made you reflect over this year in terms of the conservation and the works of the museums?
Yes, as I told before, since the beginning we told that museum, I support this idea that museum will have been crucial for the dissemination of the ideas that stand behind the International Year of Glass. Because, you know, museums today, they are not just collecting and preserving heritage for the future generations, but they are places that are devoted to the engagement of the public. Public now, we mean public as communities. Maybe you are aware that at the end of August, ICOM, the International Council of Museum, approved a new definition of museum and in Prague. And this is a new definition is enhancing even more the importance of museum with the aim of inclusivity, community participation, sustainability. And you can see that these are topics that are really connected with the importance of glass in our societies. And a lot of museums are working in enhancing the role of glass in the society, starting from the historical point of view, but also underlying the importance of glass in the current society. You can see museums are able to speak with every kind of people, from young people to elderly people. And in a museum, the experience with even the most common glass object can really provide a good opportunity of education. And of course, museums are organizing a lot of activities, special exhibitions, educational activities focused on glass. And also in Milan, you can see most of the museums during the Italian Glass Weeks organize special workshops focused on glass and on glass of their collection. Then you have the museums that are working most with glass art, contemporary glass art, and also for glass art. For art, glass is a challenging medium. From the beginning, the glass art was mainly expressed by the means of stained glass for buildings, and the artist use the qualities as transparency and color, but they also glass art is a virtual place where art and technology meet together, because technology is now providing artists a wide range of possibilities to express themselves. And also some contemporary issues like sustainability is entering in glass art production. So all these themes were being underlined and enhanced inside the International Year of Glass this year. And I hope has been told that the network that we built will continue in the future to support also in the future this important role that we give to glass in our society.
So because we're coming from the International Year of Glass and the Italian Glass Week, Dino and Fabrizio, following on from that, with the events that are happening currently and where you are, what have you taken from this year in terms of not just the network, but also the art, the technology and the science?
Yeah, okay, I try to answer.
Please.
I think we take a great opportunity because, as we were talking before, we have the opportunity to share the passion for glass with all common people, We see it in Milan, we saw it in Venice, and we saw how people understand and appreciate the passion for glass that in Italy, but it's the same all over the world.
Will be underlined and enhanced.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I say we saw this passion. We share this passion, and it is important. This is very, very relevant. This is fundamental because we have to do, as one of our guests during a meeting that we held in Milan suggests us, we have to do the same that the bikes do against the car. We have to become fashionable. Glass has to become much more fashionable. We have to be able to tell our passion, our excellence all over the world. And we have this opportunity through the International Year of Glass to the Italian Glass Weeks. And as we tried to say before, we with these 2 weeks in Milan and Venice, we have been able to reach directly, physically, more than 180,000 people. And we will be able to reach more than 2 million of digital visitors. So they are really huge number for our sector. And this is very, very important to to fruit this opportunity and not to lose this opportunity for the future. This is my hope.
So if it becomes fashionable, I guess people will love to go to the museum, would love to discuss about this. It will become much easier. If it's not fashionable, sometimes it's more complicated.
Yeah.
And I suppose as if it becomes more fashionable, maybe more to education, more to arts, more to science, more to the materials, new audiences, new experiences, and therefore their legacy will continue.
I wish,
yeah.
Yes, I wish to underline some in this network we have constructed. Really, I wish really to underline also the key role of industry, really, because well, they were as number of companies, they are surely lower the number than of the arts, for example. Well, in particular because the glass industry is very concentrated, but we had from the very beginning the total support of all glass industry, from the producers to the transformers and to in the whole line of value. And well, there are two important things about it. On one side, the key role of sponsors really in the beginning of the year, when we had to celebrate the opening ceremony in Geneva in February. We we gathered around €500,000 really from sponsors, in which they were all the big companies. This is the glass champions really, but also the medium size and other type. And we have with this money, we have spent around half in Geneva, and we have used the other half really for promoting different projects with the calls organized with in the IJOC. And we have 2 rounds of a project in which we have financed, well, around 130 projects all over the world. The other is really that all the glass fairs in the world were dedicated to the Year of Glass, starting from Milano 2021, that they began before the Year of Glass, but all the glass fairs that they were celebrated these years. In spite of really, it's however, for example, the Indian fair and also the Chinese fair had to be suspended by the COVID. But they were celebrated in Mexico, in Moscow, now in Glasstec, that is celebrated now, and of course in Milano with and Venice with the Italian Glass Week.
So there's a whole international. The countries you've mentioned are showing a huge support worldwide across. Were you surprised by any countries that became involved or didn't come involved? Was there any countries kind of said who have a glass industry you weren't so aware of?
They were well. They were this year. They were all the glass fairs that they are celebrated in the world, and they are, I think, in practically all the countries. Really, that they are. I have said 94 countries supporting in some way really the Year of Glass. There is like a passion for glass that is widened all around the planet. And really, this was the main aim to do visible, to get that glass, so to make visible the invisible, because glass is invisible in many of the applications. It's transparent, and so it become invisible. This is our goal, to make visible the invisible and to approach, to get the people really. And this is not only in the industry, but this is in education, it is in art, it is in recycling the glass and supporting the sustainability. Really, this is the legacy that we need and we should promote, really, to reinforce and maintain this wonderful network we have constructed.
So it sounds like the momentum has started. So this year is really going to continue on. And I was going to say that has the Italian Glass Weeks and the International Year of Glass, has it kind of broken down the silos of sometimes there's a separation between science, the arts, and the materials development? Do you feel that the International Year of Glass, or it sounds like it has already, so I've probably asked a question that's already answered, that they're coming together more, that they're starting to understand that, you know, the arts can showcase the material, the museums and the education can come together with both the science and the technology. Do you feel there is more to be learned or more to be told about the material to the world or to the general public? John?
Okay, well, I think one of the first things is that glass, unfortunately, is a singular noun. And yet it covers a very wide multitude of materials, with each with unique properties and a wide range of important roles. I think we've begun to get that message across during this year. I've been to a number of meetings which have involved both artists and scientists, and conversations over meal times and things have been extremely lively. A whole interaction has been created, you know, a whole new conversation has been generated covering the whole spectrum of glacier materials.
And Dino, Fabrizio, you look like you were keen to say something.
No, we were very much pleased with what we have done this year. For myself, when I went to the opening ceremony in Geneva, I was much astonished by the extent of use of glass. For example, in my biomechanics, glass fibers, transmissions, and so on and so forth. So there is more that we can encompass currently in the glass industry. So I think it's fantastic. From another consideration that I can make after the Milan Glass Week and now the Venice Glass Week is Italy has put a tremendous effort. I mean, I wouldn't judge the other countries, but I think in Italy, honestly, we have more than 300 events concerning glass in the 2 weeks. So, and then we have started, as Alicia said, last year, way before the International Year of Glass, and we are hoping to go further with this kind of community and interchange of information between historians, cultural aspects, and museum and industry. So I think it's an incredible event. To me, also, the media here in Italy started to realize that we had a fantastic coverage of this event. So I think it will help a lot our industry.
And you're currently in Dusseldorf at the moment, aren't you? So how is that? How is the International Year of Glass being received there?
Well, here we are seeing the exhibition. I started just yesterday, and I seen to me, business as usual. It seems like we are trying to go on in spite of the crisis that is looming on top of us. We are facing dramatic time for all, I think, all the nations, particularly in Europe, because we are affected by the cost of energy and the consequences of the crisis. It seems like we are trying to avoid those issues and to go on further with the industry. So I think there is still a great hope and expectation that it will be only a momentarily period of serious problem.
A small blip, hopefully, in terms of what is happening. But in some ways, the International Year of Glass has been able to highlight and show the impact of what's happening. So now
exactly.
you have the public more understanding of the processes and the costs and actually the areas in which the material is used.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, I think the artists are those that are suffering more because they have a dramatic impact on the gas and the furnaces. So if they stop the furnaces collapses, and it's dramatic for them. The industry, of course, it's affected dramatically, but being an industrial process, probably we will be able to go a little bit further.
But I think that's because I would probably say the artists have been greatly impacted. I would say with so many that are solo individual artists or small groups, they're small SMEs, very small businesses, whereas some of the industries are much bigger and they maybe have that backing and that they have their size behind them. So it'll be interesting to see in the next 2 to 3 years how that develops. And I would say also in terms of the impact on education, in terms of what happens with those costs, because institutions and the costs of furnaces and running such items can be prohibitive. So
and one thing that came out from one of the meetings we had in Milan is that we are struggling now to develop new technologies to support this industry. And so perhaps the artistic side can be supported by the industry by developing new technologies, and maybe it will, if this crisis will keep going on, maybe they will move to a different level of artistic design. So I think it's very important for the whole glass industry to stick together and to try to solve this issue.
So from my point of view, I would say within the UK, and I think John will be right in saying this, that we very much have been using technologies in the creative application, and that's something I myself am heavily doing for a long time. Alicia, how have you, with you traveling the world and seeing all these wonderful and being chair of this, and I say it in a mark of respect, what has opened your eyes? What have you kind of come across that has made you really lose your breath, so to speak?
For me, really, it has been, well, I am in this last month, I'm going from the flight to the train from the car, and it's tiring, but it's amazing, really, because everywhere I go, really, in my country, in Spain, and also abroad, the most of amazing thing is the passion for glass. Really, a passion that is real in every part of this field, in industry, and as Dino and Fabrizio had said, and also, of course, in art, in which there are thousands of people really making amazing things, and also in education, for example, that in very in countries that they are very far really for the center. This is, I think, we have we are practically in the last part of the year, but we have two big issues really to celebrate the closing conference that will be in Tokyo in 8 and 9 of December. Is a very nice conference of 2 days. And also we have the last event in New York, in the headquarters of United Nations, because United Nations has asked us to go there to present what we have done in these years of in which the darkness, the crisis, the war is in the everyday sessions of United Nations. They wish to show that we can to celebrate this year of glass. And for us, this is a great opportunity that we are organizing. It will be on the 14th of December, in which it will be broadcasted by the United Nations TV, and it will be only an event of 90 minutes in which we have to be able really to show this passion for glass. And the most important, we have to show that well, the 2022 finished on the 31st of December, but we are entering really in the age of glass. And so this will be our legacy. We will, we commit really, we have the great commitment really in this wonderful network we have built to continue working together, reinforcing all the links, all the networks between countries, between industry, science, technology, art, education, gender equilibrium, really, and because the passion for glass is forever.
It seems like 90 minutes to give your conclusions at the UN will be too short in comparison to all the activities that have been having through the year. I might ask that you might have to, I think you should overrun and show that passion. I would say from perspective within the UK with the British Glass Biennale and the support, but also you talk about Japan and New York. I would say a prime example of that international connectivity has been seen at the British Glass Biennale in terms of the Japanese exhibitions and the people from America showcasing and doing workshops, and people coming from all around the world to showcase what they do in the medium. Teresa, how have you been surprised by what has sort of made you lose your breath in terms of what you have seen in your travels?
Yeah, you has been already told what join us is the passion of glass, and you could be surprised and see how people coming from very different fields can understand themselves and can share this enthusiasm. For example, I had the opportunity to visit some industrial plants. As I told you, I am an archaeologist. But when I have the opportunity to visit some industrial plants producing float glass or automatic production of bottle, this is, I can say, really wow, because it's so impressive the way the technology as it transforms the traditional process of producing a glass container or flat glass. Because if you go to the essential, is the process was already studied from the Roman age. Now, with technology, is faster, of course, and producing a lot of quantity of material in a better way. But I think that glass is a field where really all the people involved share this passion for the material. I don't think you can find the same in people leading with ceramic, for example, ancient pottery studies. They're not so enthusiastic, and the knowledge of the technology, ancient technology, help us in understand also the current technology and the needs for the future. For example, joining this group and speaking with the people involved with the industry and technology, I'm more aware of the challenges they are facing, for example, in planning better furnaces for the future, to have more sustainable furnaces. And this is not so easy because you can use renewable sources, but you need to guarantee, I learned, a continuity of heating, of energy, that it's difficult to obtain, but they are working. And so I think that the network that we built will be very important to maintain the attention of the society toward the importance of glass for our future.
It seems like the network is always coming back as the kind of the legacy in terms of what this year has brought. Have you found with the International Year of Glass, so we talk about everybody being passionate, have you found other industries have kind of been coming to you as well with an interest, and maybe that passion may rub off on other industries, but have you found, because the materials cross every aspect of our lives, have you found other industries now showing an interest in the material? Maybe Dino and John and Fabrizio may have some answers for that. So has, the steel industry, or has the telecommunications, have other industries now started to get on board with the International Year of Glass? Because I know the material is used in their industries. I'm just wondering if they realize how big an impact and how much is used.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you also for highlighting to Alicia that we need a little bit more than 90 minutes at the closing ceremony, because it's really true. I kept bothering Alicia during the weekend that we need at least 3 minutes from our side, because it's...
No, 2 minutes, too.
I have a feeling you're going to be asking for 5 at this rate.
But anyway, so I think from my perspective, which is a very limited, I guess, I see the ceramic industry and the stone industry that are a little bit interconnected. There are some areas overlapping where you have special glasses and special ceramics that are overlapping in the industry. So there is a lot of that can be substituted. In this particular moment, ceramics is also affected by glass, by the crisis of gas. So I don't know which one will win, but there are a lot of overlapping, and the equipment that is meant for the glass industry can work also in the ceramics and in the stone. So there is a lot of overlapping. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the businesses were completely separated, and now the things are more fluid, and they are a little bit interchanging. So this is my personal perspective.
Yeah. If I can add just a few words on this, my impression is that the International Year of Glass really contribute to put value on the glass technologies industry, at least on the glass industry. And so, because as we say before, and as we have the opportunity to understand through the International Year of Glass, the glass industry is a very, very well developed, very, very, very important, but let me say is a little bit underestimated. So I think we get this opportunity to underline its importance all over the world. It's very, very important.
So it's number one, really. We're the number one industry. And we're the most important, of course, because we cross over so many. Maybe that's an element that we haven't, maybe it's something we also do in the UK. We don't shout enough about the benefits and what we do. And so maybe the International Year of Glass has highlighted actually this silent, huge industry that, and what it's doing. And I don't mean silent in the terms of not saying anything. We're now starting to find a voice, and maybe that voice will continue and get louder and louder. And especially if you think post-COVID, as John had mentioned, COVID initially was a bad thing, but actually, how many billion glass vials made for inoculation? how many new materials have been, products
And
have come out from it.
screen protection and everything that you can
So,
see people.
Health, security, pharmaceuticals, the whole industries.
Absolutely.
We've got 5 more minutes. So I would like just to kind of, maybe you could say one word about what you've gleaned from the International Year of Glass, or a sentence that really you feel has impacted on you being part of this.
Well, our main goal is to make visible the invisible, really, and to approach, to get the public really to to say, really, to explain why we are entering in the age of glass.
John?
I've written down 2 or 3 things that we haven't really mentioned: architecture, energy generation. All these things are part of our future, our low carbon future. And glass has really an amazing role to play.
Of course, with glass futures as well in the terms of development. So maybe as we talk about moving on and moving forward, you know, low carbon and the glass future, that will be something that can go on. So at the United Nations, maybe that will be the something to really conclude with. Teresa.
Yes, I would like to underline one more time the role that museums can have in our communities, in our society. I think that as we learn to speak, to understand ourselves, speaking about glass, the main role can be enhanced in the museum. Museum can be places when all this aspect of glass, history, science, technology, and art can really be enhanced all together. So please look at the museums in your community.
Thank you. And Dina and Fabrizio, we have a minute before I can conclude.
Okay, very quickly from my side, the glass is generating a better world, saving our planet. So this is very important. From a personal experience, it's just a human touch that I had with a lot of people, and that's something very valuable that I will take with me, and I'm very happy with this adventure.
Yeah, and I can just had a wish, a personal wish that I have. If with December 2022 we have to lose, let me say, the International Year of Glass, my wish is that from 1st January to 2023 we can share, we can have a lot of international glass weeks that will go on in the future. That's my wish.
Thank you. So I would like to conclude now, and I would like to say, I hope that in 10 years' time we see a thriving glass industry. And in terms of education, architecture, art, science, and engineering, and would like to thank the participants for partaking in this interesting and exciting time and this dialogue. I find that passion is the word that comes through every person's sort of conversation. That glass brings passion, it brings communication, it brings dialogue, it brings communities together, it offers new experiences, and also it has an important role in our society, industry, in everything that we do. And when we move forward to a much more low carbon, glass is going to be at the forefront of that. And I would like to finally say thank you, and let's keep the legacy going.
I'd also like, on behalf of the festival, I'd also just like to say a huge thanks to you all for the most fascinating conversation. You know, there's been so much talk, certainly in my sphere, about the 2022 International Year of Glass, but it's been really fascinating to roll back and hear about the origins and the genesis of the initiative, why it was conceived and what it's achieved so far, and to hear all of your reflections on what the impact and future legacy might be. It's been extremely inspiring, and as certainly as the title of this conversation suggested, we are indeed entering the age of glass, and the future for this material, thanks to thanks largely to what all of you have been doing to shine a spotlight this year on the material, the future looks very exciting. And I'd actually just like to take this moment to congratulate all of you for the role that you've played in this amazing initiative. It is extraordinary what you've done. And as Vanessa said, what's emerged from this session is just a hint of the passion and energy that you've all put into it. So thank you very much. And I hope you all can see on how appreciative the entire GLAS community is for the efforts that you've made. So thank you to our speakers, to Alicia Duran, Dino Zandonellaneca, Fabrizio Cattaneo, John Parker, and Teresa Medici. And a special thank you to our brilliant moderator, Vanessa, who has pulled this conversation together so masterfully. You've teased out all sorts of thought-provoking points and points for reflection going forward. Thank you also to our sponsor Apice. We're most grateful to you for facilitating conversations such as this, so that we all can enjoy, wherever we are around the world, can enjoy these discussions. And to everybody who's been watching at home, thank you very much indeed. I hope you've enjoyed the discussion. If you know of colleagues, friends who might be interested in following, the good news is this discussion will be available shortly to watch on the YouTube channel of the festival. And just to flag up that coming soon, in fact later this afternoon, there's another conversation dedicated to Lino Tagliapietra, who is one of the most, if not the most famous and celebrated glass master in the world. He was born in Murano, but has traveled all over and made a huge impact. So this will be a tribute to his extraordinary career in glass, and it will be chaired by Rosa Barovier-Mentasti, the glass historian, and will involve Carol White, the president and executive director of the Corning Museum of Glass, William Gudenrath, who's the resident advisor at the studio at Corning, Viola Romoli, who's the founder and director of the Pool New York, and Dante Marioni, who is an artist who has worked very closely with Lino through his life. But in the meantime, I'd just like to say once again a huge thank you to our moderator and speakers, and look forward to continuing this discussion and seeing the evolution of the International Year of Glass over the coming months. So thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.